Hey, NAI football fans, Corey Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIF Ball podcast powered by AdCraft USA. You just heard the ad read for them. They are here for us every week, just as we are here for you. This week, we have another treat for you. We have Central Methodist's head coach, David Calloway. Coach Calloway, how you doing tonight?
Doing all right, Corey. How about yourself?
Hey, it is the coldest night that we've had in months. I'm a Florida boy. I am not here for these cold nights, but thankfully, uh, you know, we got enough heat to get us through.
Where are you located at?
We are just south of Tallahassee, Florida. I'm born and raised in Florida, so anything where it dips below about 55, and I'm going to start complaining about the cold real quick.
Yeah, it was 8 degrees here yesterday, so
I'm not about that life. I
we
am
got
not about.
graduate assistants from Tallahassee area. He caught frostbite yesterday. I'm like, you know, it's 8 degrees, man. What are you doing outside? Like,
I just wanted to see what it was like. No, get your butt inside.
he wanted to hunt. I'm like, you killed your feet, didn't kill nothing else.
Not kidding. You are not kidding. Well, Coach, Central Methodist had a real breakout year uh, this year. I don't want to say y'all came out of nowhere because we interviewed you a couple of seasons ago, and I try not to interview anybody that's gonna stink up the joint any. So I mean, you've
Yeah,
been on our radar for a few years, but I mean, last year was really a breakout season for y'all, especially down the stretch. Um, let's talk a little bit about your team offensively. Your offense was the duo of Paxton DeLauren and Catavius Taylor. There, uh, just talk to me about those two and what they meant to your team last year.
well, they meant a lot last year. Catavius Taylor really is one of the main reasons for our turnaround. He's been with us for 4 years. He's been an honorable mention All-American each year, which to me is unprecedented. I never had a student athlete be even in the honorable mention or All-American category 4 years straight. And he never played a full football season due to, having to finish up from injuries a couple of years, getting official transcripts in a couple of years. So just by him doing what he could do, not even playing the whole season, and then Paxton came in, played a couple of games for us in the 2020 season at the end, played well, won the starting job going into this fall around week 3, because we was rotating quarterbacks the first couple of games. But he ended up winning the job, and they had some good chemistry, and we tried to make sure we did some things intentionally in practice during the work week to make sure that we had them on the same page. Far as in the scheme of what we wanted to do. So they did. They did. They was instrumental in what we did.
Coming back, you've got a couple of all-conference offensive linemen in Torrance Evans and Trenton Byers. Talk to me about I don't want to say rebuilding your offense because you know you do have to do that a little bit, but talk to me about what you've got coming back.
Well, we lost a lot of guys, no doubt about that. We lost some. We had some big name guys: Cory Henley, Will Miles, Catavius, Marco S. Daniels, but we lost a lot of transmission guys. If I mean by that, guys that glue guys that we lost: Coop Wilson, Sean Simmons, got Anthony Hernandez on defense. A lot of guys that were seniors that's been with us. But we feel we got a good stable of young guys, obviously, that didn't get a chance to get on the field, but learn from those guys on how we go about our business. So we're looking forward, we got a couple of guys in the defensive line. Obviously, LaMarcus Washington had a good season for us, should be returning. Um, Eric Mays in the secondary, be a 4-year starter for us again, potentially maybe an NFL prospect. And we got a couple of young receivers that we really like that we redshirted or that didn't play this season. So, we feel good about the direction we're going. It'll obviously to get some guys in here that semester to help us out. But, we base a lot on our off season to tell us a good indicator on how we'll be in the fall. Because I tell our guys, I got a saying from Coach Atterbury, he used to be head coach of Texas A&M Kingsville that I worked for a number of years. He used to always tell our guys, the fall will ask what you did in the spring and summer. And it's critical that we get to work in the spring and not just the football practices part, because that's where you build your team at. You'll know you'll have a pretty good indicator once you finish spring on what type of team you'll have moving forward, as far as I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see coming up right now, you've got players that are putting in the work, doing their lifting. Are y'all one of those colleges that has a lot of kids stay? I know we're just coming out of winter break right now, but are you usually a team over the summer that has a lot of kids that go home and work, or do y'all have a few stay on?
We've increased our numbers every year. This year, we probably had about 20, 25. Pre-COVID, that number got up to 40, in the 40s. So hopefully we can make a little bounce back this summer. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But the thing about us, the good thing is our core guys that be around. Our core guys that be around in the summer. So, that's something we talk about in the first meeting too, about getting the mindset of being there for the summer.
Looking back at last season, y'all started out at 3-2. Now, granted, that front half of the season had y'all starting out at Grandview, the national semifinalist, or the national runner-up, mind you, and Culver Stockton, who I've had my eyes on as a real nice team.
Correct.
In the heart. And then y'all rip off 6 wins in a row, including games where I will culp to it. I picked Benedictine to beat y'all. I watched.
And you should have won since like 07, 06, maybe 05. When I first got here, I talked to all the kids about who's the rivalry and things of that nature. And everybody said, "Where's Missouri Valley?" It's like 30 minutes from us in Marshall, right? And they was like, I said, okay, I looked up the record. I said, when the last time we beat Valley? It was 1996. I'm like, they don't even know we're rivalry. What you talking about rivalry? They don't even know. You know what I'm saying? I said, so, we got to earn our respect, with the top half of the football point in the NAIA. I mean, Benedictine, Baker, Grandview, Missouri Valley. You think about those schools. Missouri Valley is all-time winners in NAIA school. Benedictine has been perennial playoff. This came out national championship 2 years ago. Baker was in the semis a year ago. They every year in the playoffs. Grandview every year. So you got to go beat those guys. You can't talk about playing with them. You got to go find ways to compete with them and try to beat those guys.
Let's talk about the Baker game real quick. That after you beat Benedictine. And you beat Mid-American Nazarene and Missouri Valley, which, yes, Missouri Valley is traditional power, but they've got some work to do. I'd love to see them make a run, but at this point of their program, they've got work to do. So really, you come down to that Baker game, and this is going to decide for y'all if y'all get that share of art. Talk to me about really and truly that your defense really surprised me, keeping JD Woods in check. Talk to me about that Baker game and not getting too high in there and keeping them at bay.
Well, I don't know if you really keep JD in check because he ended up ripping off one.
It's true.
He's just an awesome player. I'm just glad he's not coming back again. He give you fits now. You talking about a kid that can play ball. Woo. No, we just try to keep a puncher's chance. What I mean by that is I try to get our guys to play their own and understand the results and don't get high, don't get too low. Because just like when you make interception as a DB, if you're thinking about the interception, you can soon turn around next play and give up a touchdown. Just play the play you own, the best of your ability, alignment, assignment technique, energy and effort, and then we'll move from there. That's what our guys, I think our kids did a good job of trying to prepare their week, watching film, understanding what Baker, wanted to do to us. And they still got some great plays off on us. They do a good job with their scheme. Their kids play hard. They're definitely consistent on their fundamentals. And offensives, that's, to me, they're consistent on their fundamentals, taking their first 3 steps correctly. It's hard to determine what the play is going to be because they make everything like their zone boot look like their inside zone. You know what I'm saying? all that. So, and their releases on their routes look the same. If they're running vertical, if they're running a flat. So it's hard, to play against those guys, snap in and snap out, because they're so consistent with the fundamentals. And that's why those teams are good, though.
I will give J.D. Woods his credit. The all-time, the NAIA GOAT rusher, broke 2 NAIA rushing records this season. He did go off for a $181 and 3 touchdowns. It's why Baker was in that game late, because y'all did do a good job really everywhere else.
Yes.
The next, go ahead.
How old are you?
I am 31.
Okay, so you wouldn't remember Patrick Creighton that played for the Dallas Cowboys. He played receiver. He was at Northwest Oklahoma State, NAIA. And I thought he was the best NAIA player I seen as a coach until I saw J.D. Woods.
Ooh, that's praise. That is, I remember Patrick Creighton.
Yes. And just imagine him on a small college football field.
Jiminy Christmas. So the week after you play Baker at home, you have to go and play Evangel, and no, Evangel didn't have one of the seasons where they're fighting Baker at the end for a berth, but Evangel's still going to bite you if you overlook them. How did you prep your team to play solidly at Evangel that week after Baker?
Well, it started before Baker, actually. I think our defining moment in our season came after we didn't get done what we were supposed to do at Culver. Right? So after that game, we got back and, we had a team meeting. And I told them, like, look, the playoff starts for us now. Because our main goal was to get into the playoffs this season as our first step. And I said, our playoff starts now. And if we don't run the table, we will be going home after we play Evangel. I can guarantee you that. So that stuck with them after we beat Baker. And then we found out Evangel had lost that same week, the week we beat Baker. And, everybody's, hey. I'm like, look here. Because NAIA do the regional rankings now. And I said, if we lose to Evangel, we're going home. Baker will get the other spot. So you can celebrate if you want to, but I'm telling you the facts of the situation. And, every year it's been a nip and tuck game with Evangel, except when they came down here, I think in 19. And we kind of jumped on them early. But every year it's come down to a 1 or 2 play game with those guys. So Coach Help does a good job. And like you said, they're going to always scrap. And, they're going to be well coached. They're going to get after you on both sides of the ball, even in special teams. They tremendous on their field goal block unit and their punt block unit and punt team. So you got to be ready to play those guys. And our guys know that. Their quarterback in Paxton was from the same high school. So, there was some competition there and stuff like that. And, I just told the guys, if we don't get this done, we'll be going home. And it's a long ride back from Springfield to Fayette for 3 hours after the loss because I done it.
That is one thing. That bus ride home after a win is I imagine amazing. It's the shortest bus ride ever. That bus ride after a loss.
Oh man.
Nah, that ain't no fun. That
12
ain't
miles away
fun.
Loss. It'd take like 3 hours.
Absolutely. I want to ask here then, how do you translate your success in 2021 and that focus you had down the stretch? How do you use that not only for your team coming back next year as a springboard, but how do you use it as a springboard for your program for next year?
Well, first thing is to keep the guys here focused. So after we had our last team meeting that the seniors talked, then I let them leave and meet with the rest of the team that's returning. And I tell them, just like that, those guys walk out, it's the start of a new season right now. There's no more Contavious Taylors to bail us out on a bomb over the top. There's no more Will Miles to make the play. Who's going to be the next Contavious Taylor? Who's going to be the next Will Miles? And that, I try to put that on their mind while they go home for Christmas. That's what we start at with that. And just, and then we'll get going when we get back here in school. But that's just the first foundation piece to me, is to get those guys to understand it's your team now. It's new captains. Every team takes on their own identity, and it's your opportunity. If you didn't like your role that you had last year, it's your chance to improve your role. But it's totally up to you.
I love that idea of changing that culture that way, of flipping that calendar. Just to read off kind of a stat of how much of a high water mark this was for y'all last year. This is 2021 was the first season since 1991 where you were more than a game over 500.
Mm-hmm.
And it was your first 9-win season since 1930.
Correct.
1930, Central Methodist went 9-0.
Correct.
Yep. So definitely a high watermark there for CMU, and definitely was a fun season to watch. So you kind of had this idea coming in, because I like to ask, coaches on teams that sort of quote unquote came out of nowhere. At what point did you realize that you had a playoff team on your hands?
2 points. First, in the spring, and what I put those guys through for as conditioning, and our staff for as conditioning and mental toughness. And we had guys that didn't break. So we tried to make it as competitive where Saturdays in the fall wouldn't be as tough, or that's the thought process. So we had a lot of guys stick during that time, and then the next time I felt that we was for real in the loss to Grandview. And what I mean by that is we were able to run the football on Grandview this year. Nobody runs the football on Grandview. And so I felt, and that's why I told the guy, I said, yeah, we lost the game, but I know we have toughness because we ran the ball on a team that don't allow you to run the ball. Grandview does not give up rush yardage. And so after that, I knew we had a chance if we could just keep our guys together and not get disappointed because of that loss. So that's what I knew after that, looking at the stat sheets and looking at the tape, we was able to run the ball on those guys. I said, okay, we got an opportunity.
So Paxton DeLaurent, you talk about him. He goes on. He's transferring out for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
What are y'all planning to have an open competition? Do you kind of have a guy in mind as his heir apparent? What's that process like for y'all?
Well, with this particular, because we brought in 3 other freshman quarterbacks at the same time Paxton came in. So we felt good about those guys at the same time. We still feel good about them. Just Paxton just won the job. We got Matt Luna. I feel good about this spring out of San Antonio. Has a live on. Evan Roberson. Then we're looking to hopefully get a piece of here too. But it's gonna be competition. It's gonna be nobody's no starter. It's gonna be a competition in every position here for the spring for us. I got one rule: you got to fight. If you're a starter, you fighting to keep your job every day. If you're not a starter, you fighting to take a job. Either way, you need to be scrapping and fighting.
I hear that. That explains a lot about the team that I watched play Northwestern and gave Northwestern every bit of what of all they could take. I came away from that Northwestern game not disappointed in the game at all, but was sitting there going, all right, this is CMU's a team that's going to fight, and it's going to give you all you want.
Yeah, if you're not going to scrap, it's tough to be around us as a coaching staff.
I hear that. So one thing I do want to ask, and this is kind of one of my questions that I'm asking everybody this year in one form or another. You've been at CMU for 7 years now. How do you, as a head coach, work on building your program outside the lines, setting your athletic department up for long-term success? What does that look like for y'all with that relationship building?
Well, the biggest thing with us relationship building is every year making sure that this team has an identity for this team. I think that's important. That we're not the 2021 team anymore. That's in the past. And, you can enjoy that, but you can't rest on that. And I think that's the biggest thing with us, and just, catching the wave of having success and widening our net recruiting. Because obviously with wins come more interest, and it's been a lot of interest from alumni which I think is important because that's the foundation of, to me, especially small college, of lifeblood in recruiting. So getting people that normally wouldn't say, hey, I got a guy, that you need to look at, and building off of growing new relationships. I feel that's how you expand that situation.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on with me tonight. Best of luck next year. I know it's, we've just turned our calendars to 2022, but I know you are probably chomping at the bit to get into spring ball and then into fall and get back out there and get playing again.
Well, I'm just chomping at the bit to get our guys back on campus, see them, because I didn't have them do anything once we stopped, just get some rest, enjoy the moment. But once we come back, third week in January, then we'll get going. The football games are fun. Don't get me wrong. Winning is fun, but the spring is where you get your foundation. That's where you find out who you're going to be. And that's the part that I'm interested in, because now we have a cycle of guys that didn't go through the lean years. They didn't go through the 70-10 whoopings up at Benedictine, the 67-3. They don't know nothing about that. So we got to go back to, hey, this is where we came from, and this is how we got there by doing A, B, C in this direction. So to get them to say, we still got to work.
What would you rather coach? That's a really good question. Would you rather coach a group of guys that's had a little bit of the taste of winning and knows what that feels like, that hit that you get off winning, or a team that knows what it is to lose?
Well, I guess it's when you enter that program. Like when I entered here, it was not winning. So you have to set that foundation on how to, be successful and take the small battles. But somebody came in, you would like this, because coming off winning season, that you coming into a group that got a taste of it. And you can build off of that, you know what I'm saying? But with our guys, like I said, we'll be going back to like it was the lean days from the spring and doing things that I didn't have to. So like a junior in our school, in our system right now, it's some stuff that we did in 16 and 17 that they didn't have a part of in the spring that was rigorous. They'll get that now. You know what I'm saying? Because they got to go back through it to really appreciate being a part of where we are now.
That's amazing. So again, thank you, Coach Calloway, for coming on with us tonight. Appreciate you. Looking forward to it. And I can't wait to see y'all in the fall.
Hey, I appreciate you. Happy New Year, man. And thank you.